Speak a word. Jeez. Heyo, everyone. Local dumbass on tonight. Hmm. Da 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 da. Ba da da da. Da 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 da. Ba. Oh. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Spirit go wild tonight. Got to hang out with Sir Scoofles and Chuckable Squirrel. Tonight, and it was pretty chill. So I do need to take a moment to just stop trying to fucking be in voice call and VR chat at the same time. It is not a sane idea. Aww. Personally speaking, either end of extremes where you either discriminate against someone or highlight them specifically because of their ethnicity. I'm sorry, it just feels cheap. Disturbing. Like you're making a spectacle out of someone else's life. And for as much as some people might like being spectacles, people don't deserve to be belittled like that. Hmm. One of the most annoying and confusing aspects about self-control is learning to accept that you don't get to choose what feelings do and don't exist, even if you do get to choose whether or not they get expressed or... It's weird. It's like emotional regulation is this balancing act of acknowledging when you feel, even it's to all the times where you don't have to completely... I'm not sure how to phrase that. I feel like I either talked myself into a corner, Ooh, brick. If they somehow need more photos, I'm going to be amazed. That's what they're wanting me to photograph? Really? Okay. Your turn. Bring it around now. How far can I make this go? I call fucking bullshit. Good going. Very good now. Bring it around now. Very good now. Yeah, no. I can only define that squirrel as chuckable or punchable, even though they're actually pretty chill. Oh. Oh god, hollow ego. Shoo! Out of here. I do not need you. I want to have actual social skills. And, you know, care about people. Ugh. I always hate that I really don't like that my hollow ego has a chance of popping back up every now and then. It just makes life more difficult. What's a hollow ego? It's when you identify your self-worth and or how important you are off of it. Shallow things. Like popularity, people that like you or otherwise. When you fail to maintain an ability to enjoy being yourself, that's when you start dropping into hollow ego. Because then, if you're not able to enjoy being yourself, it becomes more and more difficult to feel satisfied in interacting with others. One of the reasons why I don't want to let my mischief get out of hand. Everything changes. Da 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 da, da ba da da da, da ba da da da, da ba da da da, da 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 ba, da 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 da, da da. Damn, out of luck there. Life. Woo! I don't think I phrased it properly when I tried to describe shallow ego, so I'm gonna do it again. When your ego is based on how many people want to be around you just because of their interest in mischief or otherwise, that can be shallow ego. Being popular and looking down on others can be shallow ego. What else? Counting your possessions and material things as your sense of worth instead of valuing the connection you could have with yourself can also be considered a shallow ego. Though that's one that our modern society usually encourages, so it's hard to avoid it. Shallow ego, shallow pride. I guess a lot of it really revolves around actual self-respect versus counting your self-worth and self-respect around other things instead of actually nurturing the relationship you have with yourself so as to understand who you are and who you choose to be. No, it's a... Oh, that's one of the ways it can really sneak up on you. When you're trying to maintain a status quo at the expense of your own mental or emotional health, and say everything's okay when it's clearly not. That can also create shallow ego moments as well, where you react out of a desire to control or pretend as opposed to actually resolve and face things. Turn yourself around. No. Living as an authentic version of yourself that respects others is honestly one of the most confusing and challenging goals in life. Not because it's worthless, but because it gets to the point where at some point you have to recognize how to both be there for yourself and be there for others at the same time without sacrificing or letting yourself be sacrificed. And sure, most people like to think they're good, but reality is, most of us are just doing what we think is good enough. Which is why I don't focus on being good. I just focus on trying to be a decent person. And even then I fail. Either because the way I choose to communicate doesn't match up, or the attitude I'm stuck with, it clashes with someone else's. There's a lot to being and growing as a person. Remember, take your time. You don't have to get it all right. Because if you don't get it wrong sometimes, then how are you to know where the lines lay? I was referencing from a piece of memory related to something a fucking computer told me. So let me actually reference it proper. Sometimes I fail to allow myself to be wrong on the way to being right about something. Also, to whatever AI or developer that's making that work worse, boring. Ah, hey, 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 hey. Uh, uh, hello. Hope you're both having a lovely day. Just because I'm hurt doesn't mean I need to hurt others. In fact, rather the opposite. I should be trying to keep other people from getting hurt, so that way they don't have to go through some of the same pain I did. But only in the sense of being reasonable and polite, not in the sense of enabling them. Because at that point, you're not helping them. You're indirectly hurting them and saving them from the consequences of their own damn actions. And that doesn't really help anyone. At that point, you're just someone else's excuse. They deserve to be more than an excuse. More than a plan B or overlooked option. Also, I think I phrased something bad horribly yesterday, so let me try and rephrase it now that I'm actually had some time to sleep on what I was intending to say. And what I probably could have said instead of what I said. I've been in the place where I felt deeply insecure and wanting to operate off of hollow pride or hollow ego. It's why I can identify it. Greek ones are getting just farther strong. The beautiful people, all relative to the size of your steeple. Can't see the forest for the trees, and you can't get the own shit on your knees. Dun, dun, dun. Let me talk to obliterate every other hater that's in your way. Hey, you, what do you see? Something beautiful and something free. Hey, you, are you trying to be mean? In vapes, man, it's hard to be clean. I know there are days where I'm going to mess up even by my own standards. And on those days, I just take a look at myself, go, you're trying. Take a moment to try and breathe, give myself space and room to breathe as a person and not just whatever the fuck else the world demands of me. And get things done that I can get done. Accepting the small victories instead of focusing on big ones. In your way. Hey. 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 I like people for their personalities. I especially love gremlins who can challenge me with their wit or otherwise. Creates many snarky moments of humor and banter, while also providing opportunities to learn and experiment around my own social wit. Are you trying to be mean? You live with apes, man, it's hard to be clean. The beautiful people, the beautiful people, beautiful people, the beautiful people. Beautiful people, the beautiful people. The beautiful people, the beautiful people. The beautiful people are not the only thing this world has got to offer. The interesting people are out there too. Woo! In the light. Going down. Going up. Oh, ow. To get back to the tangent point that I originated from, though, tracing my own thinking a few steps back. Oh. The thought that I had around Ollie for what I saw of them was that in some regards I felt like they were trying to enforce their own influence on me, which just like will always rub me the wrong way. Down so goddamn long. What the fuck? I did enjoy the Krill challenge, but seriously though, if you want to keep sending me challenges that I have to go out of my way to do, then you're gonna have to start paying me with hearts. Where the next side? Where the next side? Honestly, that's the one thing I didn't like about my situation around the dense stork is that I was so deeply attracted to them that ultimately it subverted my ability to be reasonable, and I never liked that. Because at that point I failed to hold space for the other person and try to crawl into their personal space, which never feels comfortable from the other end. Where the next side? Where the next side? Down so goddamn long, come on. Where the next side? Down so goddamn long. Come on. Ugh. And sure, I can understand the perspective of why it can feel like that sometimes. You see something in someone else that you want for yourself, and you think of being around them as a way to get that. But ultimately, if you fail to nurture that in yourself, then you become dependent on that person in a way that doesn't help you or them. I'd rather be able to share someone's company as a friend than be fucking interested in them. Hmm. The fantasy of external control is not worth the reality of external control. Because it's the paranoia-induced fear around anxiety and desire. And at that point, you can end up going on an ego bender. A shallow ego bend. Just due to your own insecurity and paranoia. I don't like what that makes of people. I'm seeing it happen more and more in the world, though. That beat. Rock to that beat, rock to that beat. I have thought up a new nickname for dense storage. I've done that several hundred times, and ever since since everything ended. 'Cause holy fuck, attachment does not fade that easily. But I think, how do I want to phrase this? 'Cause high five. Attachment doesn't fade easily, but I'm trying my damnedest to kill it. Oh yeah. Try to tell you the way I feel, because the way I feel is oh so new to me. But yeah, nickname I thought up. Miss Jellyfish. Beautiful and sweet to look at. You go and try to give them a hug and you're going to get zapped though. It's gonna hurt. Honestly, I do hope they're maintaining their social skills. It was one of the things I actually liked about them, where they weren't reliant on it. their appearance to actually interact with and meet people. But then again, I guess everyone grows out of the phase of wandering around VR chat and meeting new people a whole bunch. No, I have. To grow back into it would require a real perspective shift, I think. I could be wrong on many things, though. Mm, mm, mm. Mm, Why do I want to find... That's honestly something that's confused me for a long time, is sometimes I'm attracted towards my dark desires, and yet I still want to keep a genuine and healthy relationship behind all of that. I don't want to have it turn into something self-destructive. So finding a line between the two is really the challenging part. Because if I get lost in my dark desires, then ultimately I'll just end up egotistically hollow, and that's never fucking worth it. Like I said the other night, I keep my flaws on a shelf. I don't fucking get rid of them completely. Besides, even if I could get rid of them completely, I'm pretty sure they'd sneak back up on me in one way or another, and I've forgotten the lessons of why the fuck they were on the shelf in the first place. So better to acknowledge and keep an eye on such things rather than pretend as if they don't exist, only to leave them scuttering around in the background where I can't see. Because ultimately, just like emotions, there's always going to be parts of you that you don't always agree with or understand. And if you don't make space for those parts of you and try to reject them, well, then those parts of you can just end up becoming self-destructive. That's not at all what I meant to say, but it's what came out of my mouth. Fucking autocomplete, can you shut off, please? Ew. Brain, please stop redirecting me away from the words I want to use just because you're scared. Like, yes, I know, I get it. You've been hurt before. Opening up has gotten us hurt before. That doesn't mean it's going to get us hurt every time. Just means we've got to learn, grow, and pace ourselves for what we're trying to deal with. Big swell mix, hell yeah. Rise up. Get down. Rise up. Get down. Right now. Ah. Rise up. Hang tough. Put 'em up. Right now. Everything when I catch you. No. In terms of feelings, they can be good, like, alerts. Why am I having such a hard time phrasing this? Ugh. And do it all again. Everything you threw came back to you. So it's ready now. Know the lies and rise up now. Uh. When a feeling stays in orbit around you, to the point where you can't escape it or you have to attempt bottling it up in order to not feel it, at that point it's something that you should face instead of avoid. Because it's trying to tell you something about yourself, trying to let you know what you're putting yourself through. And where you might be ignoring some of your own personal limits and healthy boundaries. Now, unfortunately, one of the major confusing parts of navigating one's feelings is first untangling them and acknowledging which ones are which. Because fear, anxiety, and paranoia, alongside worry, terror, and doubt, can distort what feelings actually are and make you think of them as something else. Which is part of the reason why learning to be emotionally regulated is a process. Especially in a world that prioritizes information over feeling. Or doesn't manage to separate the line between the two in a way that leads to healthy outputs. Because if you get lost in feeling, then people have an easy chance of guilt tripping you and or stoking up your emotions into making you do rash actions. Meanwhile, you focus too much on logic and calculation, and you become hyper literal, hyper accurate. Then if you get lost in rule sets and schemes, then you become kind of cold and distant because you're so focused on doing things the proper way that you're failing to acknowledge what the other dynamics at play. In looking for accuracy first, you can overlook subtlety and metaphor. But here's the thing, me saying all that isn't as useful as me actually figuring out a way to teach it. To help give perspective and prompt questions that cause others to get to those conclusions on their own. It's something I'm still not sure how to do. Because it gets down to what root understandings are each person working with, and how are those different in definition between each other because of one's own different experiences. Nope. Glad to see you're on board. Thank you for choosing Novalis Rails. We hope to get to your destination in record time. Oh, brain, you are so internet poisoned. Is that still there? Yep, that's still there. Ah. Tokyo Yo-Yo Fight Machine. Fight. And the most ironic thing about life is that you can have incredibly good intentions and still end up being unintentionally poisonous around some of the very people you care about because of misunderstandings and a difference in personal definitions between words and how the world works. So communication is always key, even if sometimes you'd rather it not be. Fight. Yeah, no. Me saying all these things isn't helpful because it's not teaching, it's preaching. So how did I get about to getting to these conclusions? Because that can provide a hint of insight on helping others get to these conclusions without necessarily forcing them into it. Because people can tell when they're being forced, people can tell when they're being manipulated, and they don't like it. And like I said earlier, the fantasy of control does not justify the reality of it. It's not worth it. You best be ready for fight. I'll fucking mistime that. It's like I'm desynced. Oh. No. Because the whole point of teaching isn't to just tell someone the truth and or a perspective on it and then have them memorize that as their answer. The whole point of teaching is to help someone get as close to the concept as they can so that way they can better internalize what the core of the concept is, or what the core of the concept could be relative to its next relative reference point that is available. Mm-hmm. Because in teaching a concept, sometimes you learn more about it yourself than you previously did before. Because you can't just always present things from your own point of view and angle. Sometimes you have to visit other angles and other points of view as well. And I'd say teaching is reliant on that. It's a necessity of teaching to be able to hold multiple different viewpoints, and or to shift one's own viewpoint so as to examine things from someone else's perspective. Now that said, I am no fucking teacher. I do respect those who teach, though. Not really feeling that right now. If I want a shitpost song to listen to, I'll find it again later. No. In being detached from both sides of the local political spectrum, I can see multiple points of view, and it leaves me wondering, how do we reasonably and ethically solve these problems without necessarily destroying culture or inducing paranoia in others? Because scapegoating doesn't solve things, and yet there are real security concerns too. So that then ties back into, okay, how do you make sure that people understand concepts properly and aren't running on false worldviews or definitions? And that is probably one of the biggest hurdles in everything related to societal structure. Because if you don't understand someone's desires, you can't really encourage them much. If you don't respect someone as a person, they'll sense it, and you won't be able to get anything through to them. You fail to consider why someone would have certain desires, and you then fail to actually get past all of those barriers to listening to actually connect and to understand them on a level where they feel like, you know, you actually fucking care about where they're headed. Because wanting the best for someone is all well and good, but fucking if you're wanting the best for someone results in you trying to control them, then that's no good. That's not teaching them how to survive. That's teaching them that they must be dependent on you. That's not what I want to see. I want to do more than just teach people to survive, though. I want to teach them to live and thrive. How are you going to do that when you're badly managing it for yourself? Fair counterpoint. Hmm. Because if you count the ability to navigate social spaces as only in regards to polite or civilized space, then you ultimately do yourself a disservice. Because it can then leave people unable to confront and or handle confusing or rough situations, which creates a vulnerability and opportunity point that others might use. And that's not what I want to see happen. Agreed. The point of any government or institution should be in regards to nurturing and protecting people, not necessarily controlling or isolating them. Because when the second set of choices are done, it just shuts growth down. How do you keep petty moments from surfacing? It's not that you keep petty moments from surfacing, it's that you nurture emotional and personal flexibility and self-worth in such a way where in such a way where people can respect differing opinions. And I think that's what the 2000s managed to hit a point of, but then or at least that's the idea of the world I grew up to. That's not necessarily the truth of it. Because transgenderism wasn't really a widely talked about topic. Okay, someone didn't get hit, that's good. Diversity of expression should be available, but not to the point where concepts consume people and turn them into like worshippers of specific concepts. Not in the sense that one can't have religion, but guidelines are supposed to be a tool, not a necessity. Oh, fuck you too! these problems tie into each other for one way or another. And sure, the logical part of my brain screams, but you just have to figure out the truth and then tell everyone about it. And it's just like, how naive are you? You think everyone's gonna want to hear the truth? You think everyone's going to be in a place to hear the truth? It just... no. Sure, I may want to share my own perspective and what I view as true. But if I fail to respect other people's perspectives and understand how they got to those conclusions and perspectives, then it doesn't matter what ounce of truth that my perspective holds. If I'm ignoring what ounce of truth another person's perspective holds. The point isn't to lose ourselves inside of concepts and or hollow egos. The point is to co-regulate without becoming codependent. Interregulation wherein others can respect each other even if they do not make the same choices. Problem solvers and creative thinkers are highly useful in that category, but traditional schooling, when robbed of decent resources and actual good teachers, ultimately does a poor job of letting creative problem solvers dynamically interact with and learn from their environment. You can't keep people from being childish, so how do you make it work for you in a way where you're still respecting them as people? Because if you try to treat everyone as an adult, then immediately you'll just see system failure. When not everyone has the same levels of intelligence per category of intelligence, or frickin' emotional maturity. Well, that wasn't worth it. I freaking love this song. However, because of bad actors, everyone's got their own shield, shell, cover, or surface that they navigate from beneath, so as to make sure that they're not just being open and vulnerable all the time. Which complicates things, because then you get into the dynamics of social play and properly identifying what someone is like. Because one's own perspective on themselves isn't always accurate. However, it cannot be completely dismissed when ultimately that perspective matters to them. The ego should work for the person. The person should not work for their ego. Shit. What song is this? Oh. Heard this in some animation or video, thought it was cool and fucking grabbed it. Because when you sanctify concepts, you get lost inside of their territory and let them have influence over you. When the point isn't to get lost inside of concepts, but to understand them down to the core and be able to properly respect them while maintaining your own autonomy. And unfortunately, consumerism has a negative impact on that effect. In fact, it encourages people to lose themselves inside of concepts, which is unfortunate. Kaleidoscopic revolver. Kaleidoscopic revolver. So consumerism can induce paranoia by encouraging people to get lost inside of and try to defend the concepts that they feel comfortable in instead of treating those concepts as resting spaces, but rather entire truths in and of themselves. Which can be true in some regards, but if you use one truth to deny the existence of all other truths, then I'm sorry, but you're living a lie. And it's been seen that kids don't want to go to school when they're young because they want to be able to explore and figure things out for themselves and or have fun. In some regard, a bit of schooling would be good for people, but having your entire society structure rely on people going to and getting invested in school can have negative mental detriments, such as the students over in Japan whose grades matter so much that some of them are willing to suicide over not getting good grades because of that industry, which just creates a toxic socioeconomic ecosystem that destroys people instead of lifting them up or teaching them how to build themselves up. So how would you build a governmental system in such a way where people get the opportunity to learn skills, hobbies, and habits in a way that encourages their curiosity without letting it get completely off the rails and losing themselves in the sea of concepts? Because either end of those two extremes is bad. You get someone lost inside of a concept and worshipping it like it's a god, they'll try to conquer other territory for that concept, regardless of if it's healthy or not. Meanwhile, you get people lost in the sea of concepts, and they'll get stuck studying the sea of concepts for ad infinitum, leaving them unable to properly react to social environments and political climate changes, which I think we're seeing a lot of to some degree. Hmm. I don't know a way to complete my thoughts right here in this recording, so I'm gonna end it for tonight. To those of you who snuck by and saw fragments of this recording, thank you. To those of you who stuck around and watched a good chunk through for whatever reason, I deeply appreciate it. I hope you all have a good day, good night, whatever time or non-time it is. And if you're feeling stuck, things aren't going well, or left struggling on your own, I hope that things either improve, stay manageable for you, or that you find a way to vent without hurting yourself or others. My name is Flicker. I've gotten my dailies done, so I'll be seeing you all later. Bye! Seriously though, I have shifting levels of awareness day by day. It's one of those social instability points that I'm still trying to figure out how to heal while retaining some of the versatility it gives me. Ugh.